Did you know every year 11 million metric tons of plastic reaches our oceans? Savage Gymwear are here today, proudly sponsoring In Our Element. We're going to be rowing the Atlantic Ocean in support of Portsmouth Uni and their new plastic eating enzyme. I've had the privilege of meeting the team, Mike, Holly, Elliot and Rachel, and they'll be covering over 3,000 miles in roughly 45 days. If you want to join Savage Gymwear and supporting In Our Element, head to their Instagram page, give them a follow, and if you feel like you can, make a donation to their great cause. They even have a little Elements Club where you can put your child's name on the side of the boat for their entire journey. Let's head over to the team and see what kind of mindset it takes to take on a challenge this big.
Okay, hi guys, we are In Our Element. We're an Atlantic rowing team rowing in the Talisker Whiskey Atlantic Challenge this December. My name is Holly Luff.
And I'm Rachel Lasham.
And we've got the boys here today, Mike Hatch and Elliot Holman, so we're a team of 4 setting off this December. How did the challenge come about? Okay, so quite a few years ago, I wanted to take part in a challenge. Originally, I thought I wanted to probably sail across the Atlantic, but I saw this race and I went to a talk where I was just really inspired by a lady who had completed the challenge, and I immediately knew that that was how I wanted to do this. Then had to find a team. My first stop was my buddy Rach, so I sent a message to her just saying, I think we need to catch up for a beer, and how do you fancy rowing the Atlantic?
Yeah, and I was like, yes, when, and yes, when. Yes, it's a no-brainer.
That was easy. And then 2 of our very close friends who also work for the same company as us, Premier Marinas, were again a kind of no-brainer decision.
They didn't really have a choice.
They didn't really have a choice.
But you're coming.
Mike is one of my closest friends and has been with me through lots of trials and tribulations, so again he had to come. And Elliot is a very experienced RNLI member that we've known for many years, and that kind of just cemented the four-man team that we've now got.
Yeah, so Holly approached me and said she was doing, or she wanted to do this crazy row across the Atlantic. I said, oh, well done, Holly, congratulations, yeah, looking forward to supporting you. She went, no, Mike, I'm only doing it if you're coming with me. So I sort of like looked at her and said, you're joking. And she looked at me back and said, no, we're going to row the Atlantic. I like little challenges, like to challenge myself mentally and physically. And I think this definitely ticks the boxes. So
little challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Holly came down to Falmouth through work, and she pulled me to one side and said, "How do you fancy doing this?" And I didn't even think about it. I just said, "Yeah, why not?" So I thought I better phone the boss first and check she's all right with it. Phoned her up and she was just 100%, you need to do it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
So my experience of rowing was probably born of being a Sea Scout. So when I was like 13 to the age of 16, rowing in Portsmouth Harbour, going to regattas up on the Thames and competing as a Sea Scout. Holly has been rowing for a few years now, down the River Hamble as part of the Hamble River Rowers.
I have almost zero rowing experience, having rowed to and from a boat in a rubber dinghy, but that is quite literally a bit of Sea Scouts like Mike, but down in Falmouth. Rachel is sort of similar to myself, sort of next to no rowing experience other than a bit of rubber dinghy stuff, so it's completely new to us from that front, definitely.
Whenever you do a challenge like this, there is a real opportunity to do it for a cause and to raise awareness for either any sort of charity. And for us, because the sea is so important to us, we were looking into plastics in the ocean as our cause. There were lots of charities out there that do amazing things with taking plastics out of the ocean and doing stuff with that, which is incredible. But we wanted to dig a little bit deeper than that and see if we could look at something that would be a sustainable solution that would actually inevitably end up sort of eradicating the problem from our world. And we stumbled across some research that the University of Portsmouth are doing on an enzyme that actually eats plastic. And we kind of joined forces with them over a year ago. And during the last year, they have done some incredible things, and they have actually now designed the enzyme that will do this, and they're looking at producing that on a mass scale. And the enzyme will break down plastic into its original building blocks, enabling you to actually create plastic again from that. So you'd just be almost recycling the stock that you've already got without having to create any future plastic.
You end up with like a solution and a powder, and that's what they can then make new plastic, which they haven't done yet.
No.
But that is the next step for them. They've got to find the people to do it. They've got the equipment, and now it's finding the people.
That's right.
It's very exciting.
We've spent a lot of time and met the lovely Professor John McGinn, who is basically like the Brian Cox of the ocean plastic world. He's incredibly enthusiastic and he's incredibly passionate, and we absolutely were sold on everything that they were doing, and yeah, just wanted to basically raise awareness for them. They're incredibly good at doing what they do as scientists, but we want to help actually get that word out, because it is actually something that could potentially completely sort this crisis out. So obviously there's a lot of preparation required to cross an ocean, a lot of logistics, a lot of kit, a lot of equipment, and then there's food. So Rachel's in charge of food, she's our welfare officer.
No one listens to me though. Yeah. Drink more water, put more sun cream on, they're like, so dehydrated and burnt.
Making sure that we are eating enough and drinking enough. And the challenge organisers, Talisker Whisky Atlantic Challenge, they actually tell you how many calories you need as an individual based on your body weight. I'll let you talk about calculations.
Yeah, so for example, Holly's about 3,500 calories, I'm at about 3,800, and then you've got Elliot and Mike around the 5,000 calorie mark.
Which for someone like me is actually a big challenge, eating that much. But the idea is obviously we're burning a lot, rowing 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 24 hours a day for, we're hoping 45 days, but you have to allow for 55 days as part of the race.
Yeah, so we're all, me and Holly are eating about 1,500 calories worth of freeze-dried food, and the boys are on about 2,000, and then this snack pack is about 2,000 calories as well.
So per day, so this is my dry food pack per day, so I've got a breakfast meal and I've got 2 main meals, and then in addition to that I will have to have a snack pack that looks a little bit like this. So
mine are a bit bigger than everyone else's. I'm pushing my poor Ziploc bag, but yeah, lots of different things. Variety is key, and what you might like on land you're not necessarily going to like in the water. So this week particularly is going to be brilliant, because we're going to be trying different things out, like, oh, I didn't like that, or I want more of that, or I like what you've got, I want some of that, but I don't have it. So it's going to be really brilliant for this training row.
Yeah, it's been a lot of prep. So the prep's been, well, for Holly probably the last 2 years, and then for us definitely last year and a half. It sort of takes over your life. So it's all about having the right kit, making sure the kit's in the right places and people know where that kit is. So if we find ourselves in a situation where we need to go and get a specific bit of kit, be it an emergency bit of kit or even just food, knowing where that's stored on the boat, we all need to know where that is. So we've got all the kit out of the boat, we repack the boat, and it's just knowing where you can find stuff.
A lot of that, because the safety side of things as well. If you know where everything is, you can kind of go to it with your eyes shut. If anything goes wrong, or there's a slightly sort of interesting scenario, you need to be able to go to it without thinking and asking questions. So yeah, everybody knowing where everything is on the boat is really important.
So the reason we're doing this week is because we want to have like almost a real experience of what it's going to be like on the ocean, as in practicing things as if they that it was the same thing. So we've wrapped up our stuff into days so that we can really look at like how we grab that out of the hatch, what we take, how awkward that is, how difficult it is, which actual compartments we want to stow particular things in. So it's kind of like a 6-day window for us to be able to try 2 hours on, 2 hours off, changeovers, swapping positions, coming in and out of hatches, and then getting through the food.
And then practicing, we've got a jet boil that would boil all the water up. So they say to boil all your water in the morning. We've got a water maker on board that turns 300 litres of seawater into, is it 30 litres of drinking water?
Right, yeah.
So boil it all in the morning, put it in a thermos flask, and then you can make your meals throughout the day as you want them. Some people eat them cold, but it's the highlight of your day, so you might want to have a nice hot meal on a hot day.
Yeah.
Personal hygiene is very key, so keeping ourselves clean, fresh water, baby wipes, stuff like that, just to look after our own personal hygiene as well as the hygiene of the boat.
Yeah.
And then we have the toilet. I'm sure Elliot would love to tell you about the toilet.
So the toilet being a lovely bucket, effectively. So we get to sit that in the middle of the boat and stare at each other whilst we sit on the toilet and go about our business. Yeah, it's not particularly. It's sheer luxury, really. Yeah, that's our toilet. So we get to sit that here. We get to look at each other whilst we're going about our business, and yeah, I don't think we need to say too much about that, really.
We've got the pee bottles.
We got the pee bottles as well.
For us, it's very easy.
Yeah.
Being gentlemen, it's very easy for us. Slightly more difficult for the ladies.
Yeah.
The things I'm really looking forward to is being out in the ocean and having that experience, and it's the unknown. I've not been out in the Atlantic. I've certainly not been on a rowing boat in the Atlantic, so it's the unknown. The sunsets, the sunrises, moon sets, moon rises, the stars, the wildlife, all of that's going to give us massive highs, and we're going to share that as a team.
Yeah.
I think if you ask me what I'm most apprehensive or most worried about, for me it was having to get out the boat. So we have to get out the boat every now and then and clean the bottom, and having potentially 8.5 kilometres of water below you. And it's what's in that body of water. I suppose that's what worries me. What's below me? What's going to nibble at my feet? That sort of stuff.
I'm definitely nervous about being out there in the middle of nowhere and just relying on each other to kind of keep us safe. I don't know where my limits are physically and ultimately mentally as well. So I'm looking forward to pushing myself to the extreme to find those points.
I think relying on each other,
Yeah.
I think, is a big thing, but I
Yeah.
think our team dynamic works very, very well. I mean, we are a mixed sex crew, but actually we all have our own strengths. We are going to have lows, we are going to have massive highs.
Yeah.
We are all safety conscious, and finding our own personal limits. We can only do that when we're out there.
Mm.
So for me, completing this row, getting off the boat in Antigua, the main goal of the team, which I'm sure we all share, is the awareness of plastics in the ocean and the work that Portsmouth University is doing around the enzymes that actually eat the plastics. That's my goal. That's the team goal. But also personally, it's pushing myself to those limits. It's understanding myself more on how far I can push myself and actually where my breaking points are, and actually how I deal with those.
Yeah, very similar to Mike. It's about finding my personal limits. I've never challenged myself to this extreme before, so that'd be amazing to find that. But to be part of the bigger picture, be part of that plastic, finding the solution for the plastic problem that we have, and being able to promote Portsmouth University's enzyme studies is incredible to be part of that.
So we've been on the boat now for about 15-20 minutes, and they've been on the water for about half an hour, and we're still in Hamble Marina now. And it just gives you an idea of the scale and the distance they've got to travel, over 3,000 miles across the Atlantic, and you know how small they are in comparison to the vast ocean.